No one else pays that price but you for your life, your lack of decision, your lack of discernment, your lack of emotional intelligence, all of those things, your foolish decisions. You are the price that you pay for that. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mystic Temple Spirituality for a New Age. I'm Monica Bay, also known as the Divine Mother, and I am here to bring you truth. Okay, so again, welcome. Before we get started today, I want to make an announcement. I am going on vacation because I have to live my life too. I'm going on vacation, so so next week we will not be having a regular divinity session, but I'm going to put something together that'll still give you guys what you need for the day, okay? So, and then I will see you back after that. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the divinity session for today. Today's divinity session number 12. I can't believe we are 12 divinity sessions in already. It's only been 3 months, okay? And lives are already changing. People are already having amazing breakthroughs, and this is what this is all about. This is a global awakening, people, okay? So we're going to go ahead and jump right into the passage for today, which was received February 3rd, 2016. Yes, we're past 2015 now, and we've jumped right to 2016. As I stated before, there are gaps in the writing, and that's just how it flows. I have to sit down and allow them to actually write it through me, and there are definitely many, many gaps, and this is why this is a continuous journey as this living text is still being written. All right, we'll jump right into it, and it is as follows. Sometimes we learn to deal with the folly, and sometimes we learn to ignore it. We must be the price we pay, see the price we pay, hear the price we pay. This is the true nature of being, of surviving. We do not do this alone, but it is with ourselves that we sacrifice everything. We are the price we pay. And we're going to stop there. There's more, but this is well enough to dissect for this session today. So there's a lot of layers here when we're talking about everything that this thing says, right? Everything that this passage says. So I'm going to, of course, as always, break that down for you. So the first sentence, I want to just break that down because that's a key to the rest of this passage. Is sometimes we learn to deal with the folly and sometimes we learn to ignore it. Now, folly is a word. See, this divine collective consciousness, they like to use words that we don't really use in the English language anymore. So we don't really use the word folly very much anymore. But for those of you who are not familiar with that word or are not familiar with what that means, it basically means foolish decisions. Decisions that lack foresight, decisions that are absurd, ridiculous, that are without thought, that why decisions that you make that I'm sure you recognize in the past. You've made some decisions and you're like, why, what was I thinking? Why? The point is you weren't thinking. That's a folly, okay? That is a folly. So saying that sometimes we learn to deal with the folly and sometimes we learn to ignore it. Now, how do we learn to deal with the folly? What is dealing with the folly? Dealing with the folly, dealing with your foolish decisions is learning from your mistakes, right? And sometimes we ignore them. We see the folly, we see the errors of our ways, but we continue to do them. That is the ignoring part, okay? So this is again talking about the dichotomy that goes on within ourselves as we are moving through life and making decisions. And remember, in previous passages, we've talked a lot about the choices that you make dictating your reality, right? And so when we make foolish decisions, and we continue to make those foolish decisions or we do not learn from them, we don't learn from them, meaning we take that decision and say, okay, I see where I went wrong there, let me make sure I don't make a foolish decision like that again, or next time I'm in a situation similar to that, let me think first before I act, or let me second guess what I'm about to do to make sure it's really going to lead me to where I want to go, or just ignore it and keep making the same. And this is when we end up on a hamster wheel cycle, repeating the same mistakes over and over again, which many of you do. And even if you're not currently doing that, you can relate because you've done it before, because we've all done it. Okay. We've all done it, myself included, where you're doing something and you're not learning the lesson until one day you're like, boop, upside the head. Okay. I learned the lesson, right? So that's what this part of the passage is about. And it really starts to dive deeper into that as we go into the passage. So saying we must be the price we pay, see the price we pay, hear the price we pay. This is the true nature of being. So, talking about us being the price we pay, this is talking about sacrificing. What is the price you pay? The price you pay for what? For your folly, for your foolish decisions, for any decisions that you make in life. Because this isn't just, this passage is layered with intention and with meaning. So, starting off talking about your foolish decisions, talking about your folly, um, that's the surface level of what it's talking about. But going deeper into that, it's really talking about any decision that you make. You are the price you pay for that decision. You are the price you pay. So sometimes we think we're making decisions in our lives that are going to lead us somewhere, or we don't even think they're leading us anywhere. We just think, oh, this decision doesn't matter. I'm just going to do this because I feel like doing it right now. Instant gratification, right? And we're not thinking about the future. So when you are just doing things like that, you're not thinking about what may actually happen to your life, what you will end up sacrificing because of those bad decisions that you made, because of those bad things that you did. And decisions can be actions or inactions, right? Because sometimes we don't do things that we know we're supposed to do, like follow your path. I'm looking at you. Like follow your path, like step into your purpose. That's an inaction, right? If you're not doing that, that's an inaction. That leads you to a consequence. You are the price that you pay. So when you really, really think about that, this passage is very, very deep to understand that it's not about other people, it's not about other things. You are the one who loses or wins. You are the price that you pay for everything that happens in your life. So when you look at life through that lens, you can start to understand the importance of putting yourself first, the importance of making sure that you are in command, making sure that you are being mindful and present in the moment regarding the decisions that you're making and regarding the actions or inactions that you're taking. And when it says, hear the price you pay, see the price you pay, that's really referring to your senses. And what is that referring to? Mindfulness, being present in the moment, paying attention to what you're actually doing, what path you're on, and what's leading you to that. Because a lot of times we move through life completely unaware, and we've talked a lot about mindfulness in previous divinity sessions. So you see how everything is just coming together, because that's really how I'm noticing now that this that this book is written. It's kind of touching upon topics, and then it's going deeper and deeper into those topics. And when we talk about the price that we pay, we're also referring to our sacrifices, not just our sacrifices from the foolish decisions that we make, but the sacrifices that we must make through life. It says we must be the price we pay. The sacrifices that we must make through life in order to get where we need to go. And that is in our physical sense, in this physical existence. That's prosperity. Those are our goals. Those are all of those things. But it's also our spiritual evolution. Remember, we are here in for dual purposes. We are here to experience the human experience and be fully grounded in this physical plane. And we have goals and we have things that we want to achieve. We are entitled to happiness. We it is our birthright to have prosperity, all of those things. But then we are also here for a spiritual evolution. We are also here for a major spiritual transformation and what our soul came here to do. We are here for multiple layers of reasons, right? So there's a lot of sacrifice that we have to make in order to get there. And this is the nature of being, it says. This is the nature of being here in this lifetime. We have to sacrifice. And what are we sacrificing? We are the price we pay. We are sacrificing ourselves. We are sacrificing certain desires and things that we may want to do, that we have to say, no, we're not going to do that because we're focusing on moving in this direction, and this is not going to help me get there. This is going to negate that. This is going to slow me down. This instant gratification thing is not going to be the thing that's going to lead me to where I want to go. And this is the part of awareness with the decisions that you're making and the things that you're doing. But let's talk deeper about the sacrifice piece. What else are we sacrificing? One, we're sacrificing the experiences that we're having here or that we're not having. The lessons, every single experience or every single sacrifice that we have in this lifetime leads us to lessons, leads us to transformations. And these sacrifices are necessary. We must be the price we pay. But it also says we're not alone. It also says we're not alone. So understand we are not alone in anything. And I always tell you guys, even when many people feel like people are not there for them, you may not have family members that are there for you. You may not have friends that you really consider real friends. You may not have a whole bunch of people in your corner. But understand you are never alone. You have your spirit guides, you have your soul, you have yourself, and you have the whole universe. You have the light with you. We are not alone in this. And that, in and of itself, just that statement that we do not do this alone, is talking about that interconnected web of existence that we talked about a few divinity sessions ago, about that oneness of how we are all part of this web and how we are all one. So this is really, again, going deeper and deeper into those concepts. So when we sacrifice, we are the price we pay. When we sacrifice parts of ourselves, that could be an old version of you that you must sacrifice in order to get to a new stage in your life. A door you must close in order for new ones to open. A path you must be at the crossroads and take this one, and you're sacrificing the possibility of that one in order to take this path, because you know that this path is going to lead you to where you're supposed to be going. These are all sacrifices on many, many different levels and different types of sacrifices that we take in our life, but all of them lead us to lessons, and those lessons lead us to transformations. And let's double back again several divinity sessions ago about when we talked about human suffering, how human suffering leads us to growth, because the average human learns through suffering more than they learn through anything else. And this is why we have suffering in this life, is to lead you and force you sometimes. Sometimes you have to get smacked in the face and force you down a road. That is a sacrifice. You are the price that you pay. And when I'm talking about sacrifices, I want to make it clear that I'm not just referring to a sacrifice as a loss. Because here's a mindset shift, okay? There's a shift that you need to have right now in thinking about things in the negative aspect versus a positive aspect. So when we're talking about sacrifice, a sacrifice is not always something that's losing, like, oh, I'm losing in order to gain. It's really an offering in order to receive. Think about that. Think about that. It's an offering in order to receive. It is an offering to your life. It is an offering to your spiritual evolution. I give this unto the universe, unto my higher self, in order to receive something even greater. So think about that. When we're sacrificing, that's really what we're doing in this sense. When we're sacrificing our our old self, for instance, an older version of ourselves that really needs to go, that we're holding on to that old identity because that's just what we're used to and we're in that comfort zone. Holding on to that old identity, you need to offer that up as an offering to receive the new identity, which is going to be grander, which is going to be greater, which is going to be more powerful and lead you to much better spaces. And I want to go back to where it says this is the true nature of being, because let's dive deeper into that topic, into that concept. The true nature of being is sacrifice. We are the price that we pay. This is the true nature of being. So, the nature of being is giving and taking, symbiotic. We are symbiotic in this life. We give and take of ourselves in order to evolve and grow. And remember, within this illusion that we exist in, this is part of the game, is taking with us the things that we need to take with us, but then knowing when we need to let them go, knowing when we need to sacrifice parts of ourselves, sacrifice our desires sometimes in order to achieve the things that we need to achieve. Because this is not smooth sailing. That's not what life is, okay? This is not completely smooth sailing. And we've said before, if that were the case, life would be pretty boring and we wouldn't grow and we would just be sitting around twiddling our thumbs doing nothing. So if we didn't have challenges, if we didn't have, things that we need to sacrifice. And also I want to say that the points of sacrifice sometimes, and well, oftentimes, again, they create lessons and they lead us to where we need to be on our journey and create that help to create that evolution. So these sacrifices that we make can be difficult. Sometimes they can be very, very difficult. But once we actually get through the process of letting go in order to surrender to that sacrifice, that's a process in and of itself. And in that process is growth. In that process is positivity. In that process is transformation. Because once you get past that, and it builds strength. So once you get past that, you are stronger, you are better, you are more aware. And you realize, like, wow, I just went through that. And I know all of you watching right now can relate to that because you've been through things where you've had to let something go. You may be going through something right now where you have to let something go, but you're not doing that because you're holding on, you're holding on, you're holding on, you're afraid. You're afraid. I'll tell you guys one thing about a sacrifice I just recently had to make. Okay? First of all, I have to sacrifice a lot just to be doing this. I've had to sacrifice a lot to become the person I am, uh, to be standing in front of you to do this. I've had to give up a lot of things. I've had to do a lot of sacrifice. So, starting Mystic Temple, when I knew that I was going to be doing this again, you already guys know from 2012. And when I received that message, I was like, okay, one day that'll happen, right? Then when it started to actually happen, it's coming closer, coming closer. I'm like, okay, the divine collective consciousness is speaking to me, and I probably look like a crazy person because I talk to spirits and all that. But anyway, the divine collective consciousness is speaking to me, and they're like, okay, you got to give up this, you got to give up that. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. We moved out the country because they were like, we need you over here and this particular place in order for it's about the energy fields and all this stuff. I had to give up a lot in order to do this right now. I am giving up a lot in order to do this right now. Okay. I've had to give up my social life because this is a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. And I'm just being real with you guys right now. This is a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. So, giving up a lot. But I could look at those things as, oh, look what I had to give up. Look what I had to give up. Look what I had to give up. I'm only using those words because I'm having a conversation virtually with you right now about it. But that's not my internal dialogue. My internal dialogue is not what I gave up. I had to sacrifice, and I continue to sacrifice things in order to receive and in order to be able to step into my purpose, which is exactly what I'm doing right here. This is what I've been put on this earth to do. So those sacrifices, the things that I've had to give up, the things that I've had to change about my life, and the things that I continue to have to change about my life are worth it, are worth it. And that's the key. That's the key. So when you are thinking about the sacrifices that you may or may not want to make, that you know you need to make, that's giving things up, or it may be just shifting and changing your perspective. You may be sacrificing an old perspective. You may be sacrificing a limiting belief. You may be sacrificing an old version of yourself. You may be sacrificing something that you're doing that's toxic to your life. Whatever it is that you know that you need to sacrifice at different junctures of your life. These are things that you have to say, is it worth it? Am I going on this journey that I'm going on? Understand and pay attention to your why, because that makes it easier when you have to surrender to those sacrifices. How important is this? For me, this is extremely important. I've been tasked with something monumental. Okay. So yes, this is extremely important. So whatever I have to do to sacrifice, it's worth it because we are bringing in and ushering in a new age. And now is the time. I don't have time to sit around and wait and say, no, I'm not going to do this now. I'm going to wait until I'm 80. I don't have time for that. It's happening now. This is what I've been sent here for. So the sacrifice is worth it, and your purpose is monumental. I don't care what it is. It's monumental because it's for a reason, and it contributes to the tapestry of life. It contributes to the dimensions outside of this illusion. So understand that everything that is happening in your life is important. And the things that you know that you need to do, and why do I say you know you need to do? Because you have intuition. It's not just a few people who have intuition. I've talked about this before. We all have spiritual gifts, and we all have actually psychic ability. Whether you want to call it intuition, psychic ability, prophecy, whatever you want to call it, it's all the same thing. We all have that. Whether you're tapped into it or not is another question. So when you receive that inner voice, that little angel on your shoulder, or that thought in your mind, that feeling in your gut, that drive in your heart that is telling you you need to stop doing this so that you can do this, you need to listen. See the price you pay, hear the price you pay. This is about mindfulness in your journey, being present in your decisions that you make. We talked about mindfulness before, but this is more directed towards the decisions and in the moment decisions that you're making. The decisions that you're making that may or may not lead you to the journey you're supposed to be on. So, what I want you to walk away with is the notion that you are the price that you pay. No one else pays that price but you for your life, your lack of decision, your lack of discernment, your lack of emotional intelligence, all of those things, your foolish decisions. You are the price that you pay for that. So, are you willing to sacrifice in a negative way? Are you willing to sacrifice your purpose, your greatness, your beauty internally and externally? Are you willing to sacrifice those things for these foolish things? Or are you willing to sacrifice the things that no longer serve you for greater things? What kind of sacrifice are you making? Because at the end of the day, like they say, this is the nature of being. At the end of the day, we are always sacrificing something. We are always sacrificing something. So, what are you sacrificing right now? Are you sacrificing your good in order for nonsense? Or are you sacrificing negativity in order to bring forth more positivity? And you can look at that in every aspect of your life, every aspect of your life. You can look at that financially, you can look at that career wise, you can look at that spiritually, you can look at that life purpose wise, you can look at that in your family, in your relationships. I want you to apply this message today to all of those areas of your life because this is really important for you to pay attention to these things. And once you start paying attention, knowledge is power. Okay. Once you start being aware of what it is that's happening, what it is that you're thinking, what it is that you're actually doing, then you can start making better decisions. Then you can start changing your life. And I guarantee you, when you start to apply these things to your actual life, to your actual daily life, and being present and asking the right questions as you are making foolish decisions, or again, not acting when you know you're supposed to be acting. When you are in the presence of that and aware of that, you start to make better decisions. Your life gets better. It's not rocket science, people. It's not rocket science. How to live a better life? Pay attention. Stop floating through life. Take the wheel and drive your own car, okay? Stop being in the passenger seat or the trunk. Drive your own car. But it's with that inner discernment, that inner insight and knowledge within yourself and allowing your soul to lead. When you do that, everything becomes easier. It's not easy, but it becomes easier because life is not meant to be easy. And this is why we have the sacrifices. This is why we are able to learn and grow through this journey. But remember, with each and every sacrifice, each and every surrender, each and everything that we have to, door that we have to close in order to open new ones, there are lessons and there is transformation. And it is within that transformation that we experience the beauty of life. It is within those transformations that we experience the beauty of ourselves. And it is within those transformations that we can recognize and connect with the divine within us. So pay attention. Be the price that you pay. Realize that you are the price that you pay. And now, with that, I am going to speak love, life, and power and remembrance of who you really are into you using the divine language. Okay. Ozentu, Ozentu olobisa, Ozentu olobisa, Destu, Emabikosa, Emabikosa ishna, Emabikosa ishna, Emabikosa ishna, Emabikosa ishna kalisi, Emabikosa ishna lioki levante, Lehate, Lehate bikosa, Lehate bikosa, lehate bikosa, lehate bikosa, lehate bikosa, lehate bikosa, lehate bikosa destu, lehate bikosa destu, lehate bikosa destu vectusos, lehate, 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 zato bikosa, lehate hobikosa, zato bikosa, lehate hobikosa, zato bikosa, lehate hobikosa, eshna popo eshna sha, eshna popo eshna sha, eshna popo eshna sha. And I will end this with a prayer in the divine language, essentially meaning, peace be unto you, Zor Kumti. And I'll see you next time.
Self-sabotage, I choose life, I choose my path. This is life. Sacrificing what don't serve, it's time to let go. Closing doors, new pathways begin to flow. No more looking back, no more holding on, leaving behind what weighs me down. Embracing change, getting closer to my crown. Choose your path, let go of what's in the way. This is your chance to finally be strong. I am the price I pay. Close old doors so new ones can open for you. I am the price I pay. Choose your path. Choose your path, let go of what's in the way. This is your chance to finally be strong. I am the price I pay. Close all doors so new ones can open for you. Oh.